Jack, and you are listening to MichMash, a place where I get to talk to the weird, wacky, wonderful people of this world, people I adore and want to know more about. Today, my guest is Amanda Laplante. Amanda is a sought after inspirational speaker. She teaches workshops on a variety of health and wellness topics and is the host of Get Real to Heal, a radio talk show devoted to empowering our inner health detective. Hello, Amanda.
Hello, Mish. Lovely to
So
be here.
I'm so happy you did this. So tell me, inner health detective,
Yeah,
what does
yeah.
that mean?
What does that mean? Well, you know, in my own health journey, would you like to hear the story?
Yes, tell
Okay.
us.
All right. So, over a couple of decades, I racked up seven, depending on which doctor you talk to, maybe eight different autoimmune diseases. I was a hot mess. It was
That's
not
a
a good
lot of them.
situation.
I've got one, but
Yeah.
one. I've got alopecia.
Yeah.
But what? That's a lot
Yeah.
of.
It was a lot.
Do you even know the names of all of them?
I do. Yeah. So we could rattle a few off. So it started with interstitial cystitis. Then I moved on to Crohn's. I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's, rheumatic fever with Sydenham's chorea, which is a response to strep. So all of this interesting coronavirus stuff we have going on, all of those little guys fascinate me because I know how something so microscopic can take down an entire organism and really do some damage. So those and Meniere's disease and a couple of others, but anyway, I figured out, I was going to see six different specialists and a primary care physician every month. I was pretty much bedridden from the time I was 32 to 34. And I had 18 active prescriptions at the pharmacy.
Oh my word.
Yeah, and was 50 pounds heavier. So I looked completely different. My life was completely different than it is now. And all of these doctors were so well meaning and they were trying really hard, but they just didn't have answers for me. And what I realized was that, after an interesting awakening, so back in 2014, I was 34. My son brought a Mother's Day card home to me from school. He was 7 and he had made a little flip card. And he brought this thing home, and every page was something about mommy. And so, you draw a little picture and fill in the blank. And I got to the page that said, Mommy is good at. And he drew sleeping.
Oh,
And it just tore me up, right? I had been working so hard to try and maintain a career and maintain all of these health issues that I had, that I was neglecting all these other areas of my life that were so important to me. And so that really woke me up. Ironically, if you believe in irony and coincidence, which I no longer do, the next page was Mommy's favorite food is, and he drew. He wrote chalut, which I still don't know what that is, but he drew, it kind of looked like a pizza with a chili dog on top.
yum.
I know it looked delicious. Um, and it was just one of those moments where I looked at it and I thought, gosh, is that how he sees the way? So this is how he sees me, and this is how he sees the way I eat.
Right, right, right.
So it was,
Interesting.
so it was a wake up call. And I thought, I had asked my doctors before, I said, is it something I'm eating, something I'm doing? Because in my heart of hearts, I just didn't believe that our bodies were meant to break down the way that mine was. Even though I had witnessed other people in my family have autoimmune diseases, cancers, different things, I still just thought there's got to be something that we can do about this. Now, this is a few years ago before we knew, before it became public knowledge about functional medicine and nutrition and all of the important things that everyone just kind of buzzes about nowadays,
Right.
or so it seems, thankfully. So yeah, being your own inner health detective really comes from that wake up call moment when I realized that my doctors weren't going to find the answers for me, and it wasn't really fair of me to put that on them. I needed to take responsibility for my own health, do my own investigation, tap into my own inner wisdom, eat more intuitively, figure out what it was that worked for me, and take all the signals from my body and do the best that I could to help it to regain homeostasis and build health.
It's so true. And it really is. I mean, just over the year, I remember my father had a health issue going on at one point, and I could tell he was feeling like he was out of control of the situation. And I was like, Dad, you may be out of control right now of what's going on, but you are in control of who you decide gets to do this surgery. And, like I wouldn't go with the first guy that came along. I would go talk to some people, and And it really did. He, in the end, he ended up with the first guy anyway, but he said he felt better because he had talked to other people first. Took some of the control into his own hands. And we have to. I mean, doctors know a lot, lots of health people know a lot, but we know a lot about our own selves. Give yourself the benefit of the doubt.
I think that's really sound advice. And it doesn't hurt to go out and talk to a few more people, get a second opinion, get a third opinion. And really, we know from there's a lot of research that shows that when people do that sort of thing and they don't just go with the first guy, they actually, even if they go back and go with the first guy, in the end, they have better outcomes because they feel
Right.
really confident in the decision they made. And that belief and that hope, that's really powerful.
So autoimmune disorders are so weird, right? I mean, they're kind of weird. I feel bad about it in the sense I feel like it's your body attacking itself. So you're like, what does that say? Why would I attack myself? I kind of like me, but it's what's interesting to me about it with the whole food thing. So, and I'm working with a functional health guy right now, Dr. Matt Flory. Give him a shout out there. And Dr. Matt, one of the first things he did was, you're going to have to go gluten free. And I was like, oh, isn't it like a trend? Like, you know what I mean? And it's not. I went gluten free, and all of a sudden, like my knee was hurting. It stopped hurting. Like I thought I was getting arthritis. That all stopped hurting. And just recently, this is probably TMI, sorry guys, but I noticed that
I live
I
in a
had,
world of
yeah,
TMI. Lay it all
see,
out.
here we go, TMI. I started to grow hair on my underarms. Haven't seen hair on my underarms forever. And I was like extremely excited about that. When I called him, I
Yeah.
was like, you're not going to probably ever hear another woman on earth say how awesome it is that she has underarm hair, but I'm here to tell you it's awesome. And I like had to shave it off. Yeah. Very cool.
Congratulations. Congratulations. That's exciting.
So it's validation, right? It's confirmation you're
Absolutely.
headed in the right direction. But we cannot survive off of pizza with corn dogs in them or chili dogs in them, as your son portrayed on your card. We can't live off that.
Yeah, it turns out that doesn't work. But I grew up with the most amazing, wonderful parents, but they were teen parents, and it was the 1980s. I was born in 80. And so it was really that boom of marketing around children's, junk food and cereal and lots of
Right.
things. And, they worked really hard to build a good life. And when they got to the point that we could buy the name brand Fruity Pebbles and, get all the good junk stuff, we thought we were doing well. But anyway, suffice it to say, in my family, we just never really understood the connection until pretty recently in this journey that I've been through. And it's been fun to watch people get on board with me in understanding the importance of what we put into our body, and also what we take in, right, through all of the other orifices, right? It's not just the food we eat, but
Right,
it's
right, right.
everything that nourishes us matters. Yeah, I'll digress
So
there.
but it is. I mean, and it's a balance, right? Because I've had to do this. Like, I want my daughter to eat, a certain way, but she is a teenager, so you gotta as even as a child, it was like I didn't want McDonald's to be some mysterious place, so that as soon as she got a driver's license, she lived in the drive-through. You know what I mean? It's like I had to we got to do this because it can't be something that they can't do. You can't make it a can't do, but
Right.
you also can't make it a let's do it all the time.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Just my son is 13, and we have these conversations a lot. For a few years, he ate very, very clean because he had also dealt with some challenges similar to some that I had had. And um, yeah, it's interesting. We have a lot of conversations around this. He's got a sweet tooth, and he loves the junk food. He's 13, wants to eat like his friends do, but he also understands the consequences of that, and he knows when he's feeling off. And that's been really interesting to watch, him say, yeah, I think I maybe need to lay off that for a couple of days. So it's just eating more intuitively and honoring that.
So, are you free and clear of all autoimmune, or just kind of little by little working through it and going in the right direction?
Well, so how does that work, right? Um, I am still me. My genes are still the same. They haven't changed. I may have downregulated some of the expression, so to
Mm-hmm.
speak.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in remission and have been for, I guess we're going on 4.5 4.5 years, roughly 4.5 years. Um, but if I went back to the way that I lived, if I went back to the way that I ate, it would all come roaring back.
Yeah, of
So,
course.
you
Right.
know, that's, I'm
You have
always,
to be what you do.
I'm always careful to make that distinction because there's not a cure, if you will. It's not going to go away. It's just something that I can learn to live with and live in the balance. And a lot of my health heroes that I follow, like Chris Carr and many others, they're finding ways to work with their cancer, their autoimmune disease, whatever it is, through their diet and their lifestyle to just keep things in check and keep things in balance. But that predisposition is always there, unfortunately.
So, was there anything as you were going through this journey of healing yourself? Was there anything that really surprised you? Like, wow, didn't know that was going to happen?
All of the things, um, literally all of the things. I, they use that analogy in functional and integrative medicine of peeling back the layers of the onion.
Yep.
It really felt like that. Everything that I tried, I started with, just adding green juice and like more greens and more veggies to my diet. And that made a difference. And then I thought, well, what else have I been missing? And so I just continued my journey going rogue a little bit. And my doctors have been amazing. I still see the same primary care, one of the same primary cares. I have two. I have a conventional primary care, and then I have an integrative primary care. So I get two perspectives and they kind of
Right.
share ideas. But it's been great to see my conventional doctor watch my blood work and watch all these other things unfold. And now you go into her office and there are, different charts on foods and nutrition in there. And we
Oh,
have great conversations
cool.
around it. Yeah, it's been cool. But it was the food. And then it was, I thought I knew that my anxiety and my depression were another thing that I wanted to tackle because I really struggled with that for many years. And at one point was even diagnosed bipolar. Um, yeah. And
Wow.
so coming off of those medications and working through all of those layers, took even more approaches. Granted, working on my gut health really helped with all of the things, right?
Right.
Um, but then it was also, I took on trauma therapy. I am a survivor of date rape, and I've also been sexually assaulted at another point. And so learning that there were lasting implications from those experiences that really needed to be addressed. They weren't just going to be something I could stuff and hope it would be okay. And really understanding all of those different, the different symptoms of PTSD, which I was suffering from. So working through that trauma has been several years now. Still in that process, and then adding in things like meditation, breathing. I think probably the biggest surprise, if getting back to your initial question, breathing.
It's very powerful. And also thank you, and I honor you for sharing that with us. Because and it's so important. I want to highlight it a bit so people understand. It isn't just physical that you're healing. You have to heal mentally and emotionally. I look at physical as like the way everything ends up showing up. So you have to work on the mental and emotional as well. And it does show up in the physical eventually. But it's so important. And it makes you a much more you just live better, when you're able to not feel the sting of that anymore, right? Where it's like you can think about it and be like, that happened and I worked through it. I'm resilient. Look how awesome I am. I got, you know what I mean? And there's still, I think I've had issues as well where, these terrible traumas have happened to you. And every once in a while, I'll still feel a little bit of a sting and be like, what's that? I must deal with this right now. Right.
Yeah, and it takes a lot of bravery, I think, for people to, well, first of all, it takes a lot of self awareness and then the bravery to confront those things because, it's not always an easy process, but it's always worth it.
So, tell me about people that you help.
People that I help.
Yes.
Well, there's really a couple of different things that I do, right? So, one is my integrative health coaching practice, and I work with chronic cases like me. I have a partnership with a cardiologist here locally named Dr. Michael Twyman, and I help some of his patients that he refers into my private practice. And I work with a few other docs that, they basically these patients are wanting to make the changes. They know that, changing some things with regard to their sorry about that, to their diet and their lifestyle are going to really help. The doctors have told them what they need to do, and they just need a coach to help them to really drill in. And just be there and be a source of support, ask good probing questions, and help them to figure out how they're going to get to the next step and the next step and the next step with sustainable change.
I love that you have these doctors that are sending people to you because, I mean, it's true. It's one thing for a doctor to say, you got to eat healthier, eat more fruits and vegetables. And, you leave the office and you're like, but I really want candy. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like,
I
okay,
do.
great information.
I do. I
But
still really want a chili dog sometimes. I just want a chili dog on top of a pizza and
I don't know. I see a restaurant in your future.
salute. Yeah. But it's true, it's easy to sit across from someone and say, one of my very first clients had gone to see a nutritionist, and and I've got some education in nutrition through the Institute for Integrative Nutrition where I studied. But I'm by no means a dietitian nutritionist per se. I am an integrative health coach. But this woman had been to see a nutritionist and gave her lovely advice on ways to clean up her diet, really went over some different testing that had been done and showed her the food intolerances she had and said, here you go. All you have to do is do this. And
So
she
sweet.
left. And she left and she said, okay, I just have to do this. I have to do. And then a few hyperventilating breaths later, she called me and I said, okay, come on in. Let's form a plan. You're not going to do it all at once.
No. And I mean, to completely change how you shop, how you eat, how you cook. I mean, you can't just get a piece of paper. If it were that easy, no one would need people like Amanda Laplante who would just go on the internet. But hey, what am I supposed to be eating? Oh, I'm not supposed to eat all that junk food. Oh, okay. Let me get this new diet going right away.
And
Not easy.
and I'll tell you, I did it that way. It was hard. It took a
Oh,
long time. I didn't know that health coaching was a thing. I just didn't even know it existed, and I didn't know where to turn. I just knew that the doctors that I had been seeing didn't really have the answers, and they were very supportive, but they're like, we don't know. And so then thankfully I came across a doctor that I knew, Christina Robbins, who is now my integrative practitioner. And she opened my eyes. She really was able to validate all the things that I was reading on the internet and in books that I'd been researching myself to try and turn my health around and do the testing and help me put that together. And then subsequently said, once I came to her and I said, hey, I want to be part of this whole integrative model. I'm 30 something years old. I'm not really interested in going back to med school, but how can I support the work that you and the other practitioners are doing? And then she recommended health coaching. And I thought, where was that?
that sounds like a good idea.
That sounds amazing. I would have loved a health coach because yeah, you're right. It's not just handing someone that food prescription and saying, hey, here you go. It's really having someone to step in and go, okay, let's take a few deep breaths first. It's going to be fine.
Yeah.
And it's okay to try a different grocery store. Here, let me show you how to do that. It's because I remember the first time that I walked into Whole Foods after shopping at and no knocks on any particular brand, but after just shopping at the big market stores, and I walked into a Whole Foods, and I remember the first time I went to Trader Joe's too, which love those stores, but totally different landscape, totally different way of
Yes.
shopping and way of thinking. And I was like, why are these people all so happy? And they're all like talking to me and like
And they
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 were
all
they
look
were
really
glowing.
healthy.
They do. They look really
They look
healthy. This is
healthy.
really different. And it was very intimidating just walking in. And I even remember my first interaction with the bulk food section, which of course is very different these days in the pandemic. But
Yes.
yeah, so we almost made it through a whole interview and didn't talk about it. Getting there.
Oh, well, it's impactful.
It
I
is.
mean, it has happened, and we're going to be talking about this forever. I now understand why my grandma and grandpa, like the depression was a thing.
Yeah,
And you hear about it as a kid and you're like, oh, that sounds like it sucked. But until you are really living through something this impactful, you don't really get how you're going to respond to things.
absolutely. Absolutely. And that's been another way that I've been able to provide support for some of my clients. When you've got autoimmune conditions, chronic inflammation is at the heart of everything.
Yep.
And what causes inflammation? Diet, certain lifestyle aspects, stress.
Yeah.
And so here we are. And so just maintaining, my when I say my mission is to illuminate the healing potential within us all and to help people to understand the powerful roles that food, lifestyle, and mindset play in our health, because mindset is really, I believe, that's everything. And so, yeah, it's been an interesting time to navigate for myself and for my clients.
And mindset is so interesting because, when this first was all happening, I was totally confused. I'm like, I have no idea what's going on right now, you know? Um, but what, and I felt stressed out. I was really feeling the stress of that whole, I don't understand what's going on. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't know what's right or wrong. Everything's confusing. You watch the news confused more, I was just like, what? I don't know. And I finally just got at a place where I was like, why? You got to quit freaking out because you have this amazing intuition. So
Yeah,
just be with the intuitive part of you. And even with the intuition, I will tell you, it's not like I know 100%, right? So there's still things I'm like when my daughter's like, okay, so the restaurant I work at is opening back up and I'm going to start next week. I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, I really I wasn't sure. I mean, I was like, I guess you go work. I think if I said you couldn't, you'd hate it. I think you go work. It's just, I still don't really know. But there's only so much you have control over, right?
absolutely. No, I completely, yeah,
Be,
yeah.
be
We
at,
just
be at peace as much as you can.
be at peace and do the best that you can.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I have some questions for you. Can I ask you questions?
I would love
Well,
that.
I've been asking a lot, but these are like kind of off the beaten track questions. Um, do you have a go-to recipe? Like, I mean, I'm sure you do a lot more cooking than most people do at home because of the nature of who you are and what you do. But is there just like I don't really feel like cooking, so let's just make recipe?
Oh, good one. I've gotten really, when I started out cooking, so when I started this whole health journey, I didn't know how to cook really. Clearly, based on my son's menu observations. Um, but I was really determined to learn. And that's another thing that helping people through is really fun, because they learn that they're so much more capable than they ever even imagined. It doesn't have to be some gourmet meal, and it's
Right.
still delicious. So I've gotten really good at just walking into the kitchen and taking 4 or 5 ingredients and making it work. If it grows together,
Wow.
it goes together. Um, just really keeping things simple. Go to recipes. Gosh, I love stir fries. I love stir fries. Yeah, and
That's
I
a good
just
go-to recipe, though.
it's simple. I love my Instapot. Anything I can make in an Instapot. I'm a big fan of soups.
I got
Anything
one
that
of
I can
those.
anything I can cook once and eat twice.
Oh, that's a good idea too.
Yeah, because I do spend a lot of time in the kitchen. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Instant Pot, that thing's amazing. I didn't get one for the longest time and I finally got one and now I use it all the time. Yeah.
absolutely.
Good
Yeah,
invention, Instant Pot people. Thank you for bringing that to us. Um, is there a song that you know all the words to?
a lot of them. Like a
Really?
freakish amount of songs actually. I love
Wow.
karaoke and
Oh, stop.
I do.
Really?
I do. Yeah. Actually, this over the winter, I was at a karaoke party, and I finished singing a song and I walked off, and the woman that was standing there, because at karaoke parties sometimes people are a little shy, and you might stand there for 20 minutes waiting for someone to sing, and I'm like, well, the mic's empty, so I'm just going to go ahead. And I walked off, and she goes, "You're like a karaoke savant," and I was like, okay. So
Hey,
yeah,
cool. Well, I mean, for me it would be more like I want to keep these people as my friends and if I start singing that might be the end of our friendship. They're like, "Oh, please stop. No. Oh, she's bad."
well, I'm not saying it's always good, but I always have a good time trying. So
I will belt it out in my car and then I swear if there were like some kind of recording device in my car, you would often not then hear me start laughing and go, "Oh, real songbird am I." Oh, goodness.
I get that. But yeah, pretty much name anything like 99, like 90 to 99. I can pretty much nail the
Got
90s
it.
music.
Gotcha. Is there a go-to karaoke song for you?
Hmm.
Like, do you look and go, I am so good at, I I don't know. Why can't I think of one song from the 90s right now? I don't know.
Right. No, well, and actually beyond the 90s, like I really like Kings of Leon. That's always, I like singing their
Ooh.
songs. People know them and it's fun.
Ooh, that is a good one.
I love Salt and Pepper.
Ah.
Can't go wrong with
No,
that.
you can't. That's a fun one.
Yeah, yeah. Anything by them is cool. Yeah, I mean, there's so many. But Britney Spears, if I'm feeling really frisky,
Do you know like all the dance moves? Oh, go girl.
maybe.
Go
No,
Amanda.
no, I don't.
I'm going to karaoke with you. I love it. Tell me about being a cheerleading coach.
Aw, yeah. So I was a cheerleading coach at the assistant cheerleading coach at Brentwood High School this past year. It was a cool experience. Yeah, interesting, challenging, fun. I was able to kind of get in there and work out with them, and it was great for my own physical activity. But yeah, it was a really great time. I will say this: I lost days of productivity to the chants. They just they just stick in your head and go over and over and over for days. It's just amazing.
So now did they do so my daughter did cheerleading in high school as well as she was in competitive cheerleading, which is oh my gosh, a heart attack for parents, quite frankly, and also very athletic. I mean, oh my gosh,
Very.
but cheerleading is so different than what it was when I was in cheerleading. And so, did you see a lot? I mean, there were a lot of injuries
You
during
know,
your cheerleading days.
yeah. So I came into a school which had a really interesting policy. It was a no cut squad. So it's a very small high school. Brentwood High School graduates about 60 seniors a year,
Okay.
even though it's a public school right here in
So
the
why
heart
with
of.
the no cut, there's not like a huge bunch of kids to draw from.
Yeah, and so what was really cool about that though was we learned to work around varying skill levels. So if someone had, a jump or a split or something that was of a higher skill level, we would work that in, but not everyone had to do it. So what was great about that was from an injury standpoint, we didn't have as many because, we worked with the kids based on their school level or their skill level.
Oh,
So
that's awesome. With ours, I mean, the issues were the throwing girls up in the air, catching them, people get kicked in the face. Oh my gosh. I was like, so I have this thing that, I have this theory that hundreds and thousands of years from now, somebody's going to dig up these old cheerleading videos and be like horrified that any parent would let their child do this.
it's intense, going through the MISHA, which is the state high school athletic
Right.
association for Missouri, going through their training. Yeah, the things that they're allowed to do now, and all of the different safety techniques that are in place to make sure that the kids don't get injured. There is a lot of thought and a lot of strategy that goes in behind the scenes. And our head coach is amazing. She's an amazing coach and very, very talented and really gets it and has done a lot of the stunting. I myself had a background in dance and had
Okay.
cheered for a year in college. So I didn't have as much, I was a flyer. So they did, lift me up and
Right.
like basket tosses and things like that. I did do that, but I only did it for a year. So my skill level wasn't quite there to feel comfortable to be like, yes, we're going to learn all of this. But she really got it and she was very good at it. So by, at the beginning of the year, we didn't have any of those stunts and skills. But by the end of the year, she had introduced quite a bit and the kids had made great progress in that. So it'll be interesting to see where they continue to take it as they grow the program. But yeah, you're right. There's a lot that goes into that. And funny story, I probably shouldn't tell on myself here, but
I say go.
when we were teaching some of the kids that we had on the team were brand new to the sport, and so we were teaching them some different jumps that they could do. And I said, well, we I showed a toe touch, which I was surprised I could still do.
Ooh, wow,
Yeah,
that's
I know. I
awesome.
turned 40 this year, and I was pretty impressed after a couple years of bed rest and all of that. I'm back on it. On
I'm
it.
impressed. I think it's awesome.
So I did that, and then I looked at them and I showed them a couple of others, and they said, "Is that all that you can do? Like, are there anything else?" I know, right?
Hello.
Not that they weren't impressed, but they were like, "Do you have any more?" And so I said, "Well, there's this one other, but it's not legal. You guys can't do it." So, and they said, "Oh," of course. Then they were curious and wanted to see that one. So it was a jump split that we used to do back in high school. It's kind of that Dallas Cowboy cheerleader style where they just jump into the splits and then land.
Right.
And I thought, I've done the toe touch, I've done the herky. I could probably do the jump split. I think I got this. And I did the first one was good. And I thought, well, I can do it better. And so I did it again and I pulled my hamstring.
Oh, ouch. Oh,
So
darn.
I was actually the worst injury on the cheerleading squad this year.
That's why they don't want people doing the jump split, maybe.
I was like, I honestly, I did it and I felt this pop and I said, and that is why it is illegal and we will not be doing it.
There we go. And that was your lesson for today. I meant to show you that. I love it. Well, Amanda, thank you so much. Where can people find you?
Yeah, so you can find me online at amandalaplante.com. You can also follow me on Facebook /Get Real to Heal. And I'm also on Instagram at Get Real to Heal, LinkedIn at AK LaPlante. I love to connect everywhere. So just hop on and check me out and check out the radio show. It's on 92.9 FM on Fridays at 1:30, and it runs a couple of other times throughout the week. It's one of their anchor shows. And you can check that out, all 115 plus episodes on soundcloud.com /Get Real to Heal or wherever you get your podcasts.
I love it. Thank you so much for being on today and sharing all this great information.
Thank you for having me. It's been great.
Well, everyone out there, you got to hear Amanda LaPlante. Thank you so much for tuning into MichMash. We love you. Stay safe out there. Bye. Yay, we're still live on Facebook, but that was awesome.
Fun. Yeah, thank you so much. This was a great conversation. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too. I have to tell you, cheerleading is just like I loved when my daughter was in cheerleading. Like when she decided to be done with the competitive cheer, it was good because we definitely had to we had to work on her back, right? Her back was just, ugh. And so lucky for us, the Matt Flory, who I was telling you about, Dr. Matt Flory, he lives with this amazing woman, Maureen Hughes, thank God for Maureen Hughes. She was able to get Mickey's back in order. But I was also so bummed because I loved being a part of it. I loved going to the competitions. I loved watching the girls, and so now I have to get it back through Netflix. Like there was a cheer thing I watched. She was like, I've been there. I was there in Disney World when we were doing all that cheer stuff. Oh, there's so and so. Oh my gosh, we loved her. Gosh, hearts, we followed around forever. It was just I was a total fangirl of the thing. But when I saw you, excuse me, when I saw you had anything to do with cheerleading, I'm like, oh my God, I gotta ask her.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I really, really enjoyed it. It's
where did it come from? Did you see it? Or did they
somebody
know you? Did they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a parent of one of the girls on the team had reached out to me and said, "Hey, they're looking for a cheerleading coach." And I talked it over with my husband. I was looking for a way to get more physical activity in. That's one area that I really struggle in, because I have certain things I love to do, and pretty much everything else, it's like pulling teeth. I can't get myself to do it. I try, but. So yeah, it came at the right time. And I thought, the sad thing was just the challenges of making the schedule work with my work schedule, my full-time work schedule.
Right.
It just was really, really challenging, but I'm glad that I did it for a season and I may help out again. Yeah, it was just a wonderful experience though. And I think back to the experiences that I had in college and in high school in cheerleading and dance respectively. And it just, it stays with you for a lifetime.
Yeah, it's fun.
The things that you learn and the camaraderie and everything. It's an amazing experience. So, to be able to help those kids to have that experience was a gift.
Fun. I love it. Well, thank you, dear.
Thank you.
Have a good rest of your Tuesday. But now you're a Medici member, so I get to see you even more.
I know.
I love it. Yay!
Yeah, so excited. Cool. Well, I'll be looking forward to seeing you again. And when you make the move.
Yeah, come on out. Hang out in my cool loft.
Sounds great. Sounds great. We'll do that. We'll wander downstairs and sit on a patio somewhere. It'll be nice.
Awesome. Yes, I can't wait. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Bye, Mish. You too.